Alright, nice. Next rule to determine the intention of the parties is under section 21, where there is a contract for the sale of specific goods and the seller is bound to do something to the goods for the purpose of putting them into a deliverable state. The property does not pass until such thing is done and the buyer notice of it. Basically, these are the conditions under section 21. Okay, the property, the ownership will only pass to the buyer if the seller already performed the conditions. Okay, when the seller already puts the goods into a deliverable state, and you must prove that the buyer has notice of it. For example, Zakaria agrees to buy Wong's car on condition that Wong give the car a new coat of paint. So this condition implies from this, the seller is bound to do something in order to put them into a deliverable state. In other words, there is a conditions that Wong must give a new coat of paint to his car before he can sell to Zakaria. In such a case, the property in the car pass only after the car received a new coat of paint and Zakaria has been notified the same. So buyer, Zakaria here has notice of the change of a new coat of paint. Then there was transfer of ownership from Wong to Zakaria. Okay, I hope that is clear on this. Okay, section 22. Where there is a contract for the sale of specific goods in a deliverable state. Meaning that this good is ready to be sold, but the seller is bound to wait, measure, test, or do some other acts or things with reference to the goods for the purpose of ascertaining the price. For the purpose of ascertaining the price, the property pass after such act or thing is done and the buyer has notice of it. The keywords for section 22 is when the seller is bound to weigh the goods, to measure the goods in order to ascertain the price. For example, when you go to market, you want to buy vegetables. So the seller need to weigh the vegetable first in order to ascertain the price. So at the moment the seller weigh the vegetables and then ascertain the price, then the ownership will pass to you. You may refer to the illustration there. Siti agrees to sell vegetables to Aminah at 8 ringgit per kilogram. Property in the vegetables does not pass until the vegetables have been weighed and Aminah informed of the same. So the buyer here must be informed of the price. Clear. Alright, next rule under section 23, subsection 1 of the Sale of Goods Act, where there is a contract for the sale of uncertain or future goods by descriptions, and the goods of that description and in deliverable state are unconditionally appropriated to the contract either by the seller with the assent of the buyer or by the buyer with the assent of the seller, the property in the goods thereupon pass to the buyer. So the ownership is passed to the buyer. This is for sale of uncertain or future goods by descriptions. Just bear in mind that this is normally happen when you purchase an online goods. For example, Mimi ordered a book, How to Diet Effectively and Perilously, from a catalogue, meaning that this is a sale by description, through the post. The said book was lost in the post. Mimi must bear the loss as property in the goods passed to her when the parcel was posted. So based on section 23 subsection 1, okay, it has determined the time when the ownership will pass. For example, you order goods based on descriptions. At the moment the seller posts out the goods, there was a transfer of ownership from the seller to you. So if the goods is missing in the post, then seller is no longer liable. Okay, last but not least is section 24. When goods are delivered to the buyer, on approval or sale or return or other similar terms, the property in the goods pass to the buyer. Under this section, the property passed to the buyer in these two situations. First, section 24, subsection A, when he signifies his approval or acceptance to the seller or does any act adopting that transaction. Under section 24, subsection B, if he does not signify his approval or acceptance to the seller but retains the goods without giving notice of rejection. Okay, without giving notice of rejections. Upon expiration of the time fixed for the return of the goods, or when no time has been fixed for the return of the goods, upon expiration of a reasonable time. Okay, in order to apply section 24, you must make sure that there is a sale to the buyer on approval or a sale or return. Okay, but I don't think that nowadays ada lagi this kind of transaction. Okay, it's like that we need the approval. Okay, maksudnya you order dulu, later bila barang tu dah sampai, you satisfied with the goods, then baru you bayar. Okay, jarang lah kan. Okay, as for example, Good Books Sendirian Berhad delivers books to Latifah on approval and to be returned within 10 days without obligation if not satisfied. And Latifah does any one of the following acts. Okay, these following acts can ascertain the transfer of ownership from Good Books Sendirian Berhad to Latifah. First, when she accepted the books. So when Latifah accepted the books, meaning that ownership will transfer to her. Or another way, she sells the books to Mike. Latifah would have done any other act adopting the transaction. So this is also means transfer of ownership. And third, Latifah does not return the books within 10 days. So she retained the goods, okay, without giving notice of rejection to the seller, because after the expiration of 10 days, meaning that the ownership has been transferred to Latifah. So if no period was fixed for the return of the goods and Latifah has kept the books for an unreasonably long period, for example 2 months, the property in the goods would have passed to Latifah and she would be liable to pay for them. Okay, this is because delay in returning the goods. Okay, so based on these rules, we are able to ascertain the intention of the parties, and we can also determine the transfer of ownership from the seller to buyer. Okay, so that's all for transfer of ownership in goods.